Hello friends, welcome back into another video. Today I'm going to be talking about some Feral Druid buffs because I'm back here in my bathroom that I stream from, as you guys like to call it. But I was gone for a little bit. The reason was because I was at the SK Pieces Race to World First live LAN event in Berlin. So I was gone for like 16, 17 days. I was gone for a long time actually for a Race to World First, which is kind of crazy. So getting back into the normal stream schedule again, getting back into the normal gameplay and YouTube uploads and stuff. So make sure to check me out on twitch.tv/cyber_TV. Links and things will be down in the description. But yeah, come and hang out, watch some survival gameplay as we stomp this season, and also some Feral gameplay because we are getting some buffs, as I was mentioning. And let's kind of take a look at how those are looking. So Feral's, you guys know, Feral's been being battered around. Absolutely just slapped around like it's Chris Rock at the Oscars. And, you know, we're taking a beating. I think I heard my girlfriend laughing in the background. She enjoyed that one. We've just gotten some buffs, though, which is good. So, in general, we got a 3% flat damage buff to everything, which is cool. That's going to buff our single target and our AOE, so that's good. The number of 3% is eh. I really don't think that a 3% damage buff on everything is risking putting us too far up the chain, if you will. And because Feral doesn't really bring anything uniquely to raid, I don't think that this really matters too much in that area. But hey, we'll take a single target buff when we can get it, sure. In general, though, these are AoE buffs. So Primal Wrath initial hit damage. This is not the rip bleed effect of Primal Wrath. This is just the initial hit damage. So roughly something like 4% of your overall damage on average. So that's getting a buff by 10%. And then Brutal Slash increased by 20%. That's a single target buff, not an AoE buff. Swipe damage increased by 15%. Thrash damage increased by 20%. So just flat out, all of our AoE abilities are getting buffed by an amount. Which is good, because it means that we're not locked into our 4-set being the powerhouse of our spec, and we're not just being carried by a 4-set. Blizzard were very scared of that one from a balancing standpoint, I think, so they kind of got rid of it and stripped it and gutted it and went, nope. But then they've gone, you do still need to do some AoE, so here you go, here's a compromise, get a flat buff to some of all of your AoE. Which I think is good when you first look at it. And like when I first saw it, I was like, wow, that's, you know, that's awesome. We're getting like all these AoE buffs. That's great. And I do still think it's great. A buff is always good. A buff is always good. But it's not enough, I don't think. And and I hate to be like constantly just like, okay, but give me more. Okay, but give me more. Just keep holding my hand out. Keep holding my hand out and be like, okay, Blizzard, that's a good buff, but like, give me more, give me more, give me more. Because there's never a point where you can just stop and be like, okay, thank you, Blizzard. That's cool. Because it just feels like otherwise you have to complain all the time. And even when you win a battle, it still feels like you're acting as if you haven't. And I don't know, it's just tedious to have to do that and to have to talk like that and play the game like that. So I try not to do it, and I try to just kind of take buffs when we get them. But I do, giving my honest opinions, I don't think that this is enough of a buff. If you look at our Primal Wrath damage, so that's going to be buffed by 10%, was it? So that's going to be like 7% of our overall damage, closer to. I mean, it's not even going up by a percent. Then Swipe's getting increased by, what, 20%? Right? Is that 20%? So that's going to go up by like a percent or so. Thrash getting... Swipe's getting increased by 15%. So it's not even going to be a percent, I don't believe. And then Thrash getting increased by 20%. Which is... I mean, maybe it'll be higher than our melee attacks, you know? But I am concerned about our AoE even with these buffs, because we're still barely going to be above our melee attacks. Like, our melee auto attacks in uncapped AoE, like, they're almost doing as much damage as our swipe. And that's just, you know, overall in the length of a key. Now, this was a Tazavesh 16 fortified. And this was our group composition. So we had a warrior with 2-set, we had a rogue with 4-set. I don't have 4-set yet. So fair enough, I'm probably lacking a little bit of damage. Like, I'm lacking a bit of damage there. I'd probably be a bit closer to the warrior. I'd maybe be rivaling the warrior, but again, the warrior doesn't have forset. I don't think I'd be anywhere close to touching the rogue, which is my concern. Now, of course, when we get forset, that'll be pretty, like, big AoE gains, I guess, which is cool. But I don't know. I think these buffs will be good. I think it'll kind of bump us up a little bit, but it's definitely not going to make us meta. It's definitely not going to like put us in the powerhouse spot. But I think that's okay. I don't think we need to be the best spec in the game in Mythic Plus to be played. I think we just need to not be an absolute detriment, an absolute burden to our team, which with this damage, we are a detriment. We are a burden. But if I can get forset, we get these buffs coming in, and if I'm somewhere in this range, somewhere between this 15 to 16k range, based solely on this key, anecdotally, then, like, that feels okay. You don't feel like you're an absolute burden, and you feel like, hey, if you play a bit cleaner, maybe you could eke out that extra bit of damage. But, yeah, I think these buffs are okay. I think that those numbers could have been bigger, though, and I think that Blizzard should definitely give it another pass and look to buff it up a little bit more. Because I don't think this puts us in danger of being anywhere close to too strong. But I'm glad that they're buffing all of our instant AoE things and not just like cooldown based or not just bleed based. The reason I prefer the instant damage scenario in Mythic Plus is because normally you want things dead ASAP. You want things dead now. If you are slow rotting, slow bleeding, that's really bad for your tank. It's really bad for your healer. It's bad for your DPS. So you want to make sure that, well, if we can have more instant damage, then that's kind of good for Mythic Plus in general. I would say as well, I think apparently, I've been looking at some of the Theory Crafter guys, I think apparently they're even looking at potentially MOC coming into the mix as a playable option. I'm going to give it a try when these buffs come through with the swipe buffs and things. I'm going to give it a shot, and maybe we can get that swipe damage even higher, right? Which could be pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of things. Let me know what you think about these buffs in the comments down below. I do think that these are good changes in general, and this is what I've been asking Blizzard for, where I've said to Blizzard, hey, if I had 8 seconds to buff Feral Druid, I'd buff our Thrash, I'd buff our Swipe, I'd buff our Primal Wrath initial hit damage. Like, those were all the things I was asking for. It's just like and then I don't know, give us Leader of the Pack, so we've got something that makes us more kind of desirable. Or you need to bump these numbers up a bit further, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.